Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Unscripted English. Kit, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you, Lawton?
I am doing very well. Um,
Good.
what did you get up to today? Did you do anything fun?
Today, not that much. I just did a little workout, took a shower, did some stuff around the house, and that was about it.
What did you eat today?
Today, for lunch, I ate some Korean food, which is
Nice.
called naengmyeon. So,
Perfect.
naengmyeon is like a cold, vinegary noodle with a broth. And it's one of my favorite Korean dishes. I eat it a lot in the summer, but even though it was cold today, I still wanted some.
Well, that is perfect because that is going to be our topic today. We are going to talk a bit about food, specifically Korean food, since we're both in Korea. But we thought that since our last two episodes were a little bit more on the serious and technical side, we'd do something that's a little bit more lighthearted and fun for this episode. So, yeah, we know a lot of people are interested in Korea and Korean food, so we thought we would talk about that.
And it's funny how that intro worked out because you did not ask me. You didn't know what I ate today. It just happened that I had eaten Korean food. So, although then again, we probably eat a lot of Korean food, so the chances were high.
Yes, indeed, the chances were pretty high. So let's talk a little bit about Korean food for those of our listeners who are maybe not that familiar. I think that around the world, Korean food has definitely gained, some level of popularity. But I think that most people living outside of Korea probably are still only familiar with a couple of very popular dishes, probably like bulgogi, maybe something like Korean barbecue, like dakgalbi, but probably not that much outside of that. So, Kit, in general, of course, there's lots of different dishes, but how would you describe Korean food in general?
I would describe a lot of Korean food as being either spicy, sweet, or spicy and sweet. I think those are the sort
Yeah,
of top three flavors that you're going to get from a dish. There are exceptions to that rule, obviously, but when you're thinking about bulgogi, that's a sweet dish. When you're thinking about that spicy ramen, that's a very spicy dish. And when you're eating things like tteokbokki, that's sweet and spicy. And so I think that is sort of the easiest way to sort of sum up Korean food.
so, do you have a favorite Korean food, Kit? Like we mentioned in previous episodes, you've been here for about 10 years now, and I've been here even longer than that. So, having been here this long, I'm sure you have eaten lots and lots of Korean food. So, do you have a favorite or some favorites?
I do. I usually, based on season, I have two favorites. In the winter, when it's really cold, my favorite thing to eat is sundubujigae, which is a spicy stew with soft tofu in it. They have a version that's not spicy as well. I like the really spicy version. And like I said spicy. It's, sort of mid-level spice on the Korean scale. I don't think it's super spicy, but if you are someone who struggles to eat spicy food, you might think it's spicy. Um,
Yeah.
that is my favorite thing to eat in the winter. It's so warm and cozy and delicious. I just love it. And then my favorite in the summer is the one that I mentioned in the beginning is naengmyeon, the cold noodles. So those are
Mhm.
my two favorites, depending on what the weather's like.
Depending on the season. That's
Mm.
cool. I also really like naengmyeon. I also specifically prefer mul naengmyeon. So there's kind of two types of naengmyeon. One is with a cold soup, which is the mul naengmyeon. Mul means water. And then there is another type of naengmyeon that basically has less soup in it. I like both, but I probably also prefer the mul naengmyeon slightly. I also really like sundubu jjigae, actually. It's definitely one of my favorite dishes, like you said, in the winter. And yeah, definitely on the spicier side, I would say, but not super spicy, like you said. But yeah, my food opinions I think are maybe slightly controversial because I tend to like the foods that I like, the Korean foods that I like the most tend to be the kind of weirder food to foreigners and even to some Koreans here. So for example, I am a big fan of makchang, both dweji
Oh,
makchang and so makchang. So dweji means pig and so means cow. And makchang is basically like intestines, basically, which is going to sound pretty gross potentially to some people, but I really and yeah, I really like makchang. It's one of my favorite foods in Korea, and I get it pretty much any chance that I get because not a lot of people like it that much, even amongst Koreans these days. So if I find somebody who does really like it, I'm always very eager to go to a makjang restaurant.
yeah. Sorry, that won't be me. I'm not a fan.
Yeah, most people aren't, unfortunately for me.
It's got a very like unique taste. And it's
It's quite
also just very
chewy.
greasy. It's chewy, it's greasy. That's something about me is I'm weird about texture. So, Lawton, I do have a question. There's one dish that I haven't just straight up tried. I don't want to
Okay.
try it. I've seen videos of people eating it, and even lots of Koreans dislike it.
Oh, I'm interested.
Um, I've had it a little bit like in other things, and
Uh-huh.
just also not been a fan. Like it hasn't been horrible, but I think when you eat it straight up, it's even more polarizing. So I wonder if you've had it before. I wonder if you can guess what I'm talking about.
I feel like I should be able to guess what you're talking about, but I don't know if I can.
Honga.
Okay, okay, yeah, yeah, Hangul. Yeah. Yes, I have had it, and I do like it.
Okay.
Um, though,
What is it? Can you describe it for people? I don't know what it tastes like either. I just know it's a very strong
yeah,
taste that a lot
it,
of people dislike.
yeah, it's a seafood. It's a fish that has been like aged, and I don't even actually know exactly what the process is. In fact, I have no idea. But it is
Isn't it
very
isn't it fermented stingray?
yes, yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
Yes, it's
Okay.
fermented stingray, not just any old fish. Yeah, so it's
Ooh.
fermented stingray. And the word that I would say, and this is a good word to know, is pungent, which
Oh.
describes both the smell and the flavor. And yeah, if you're not ready for it and somebody just sort of holds it up in front of your face, you will kind of like, lean backwards in surprise because it is quite a strong smell and it's also quite a strong taste for sure. I have heard other people say that it smells and tastes a bit like formaldehyde. Um, which I don't know if I would agree with that exactly, but I know what those people mean. But yeah, I do like it. It's not something that I
Mm.
want to eat every day, but if somebody wants to go eat Hongol, then yeah, I'm happy to go eat Hongol with them. Okay, so I got one more question for you, Kit, and then we could probably wrap this one up. If you were going to recommend a Korean dish to someone who doesn't really know Korean food at all, what dish would you recommend?
That's a good question. I think I have two that I usually recommend to people that people really like. The first is dakgalbi. So that's a chicken dish. It's cooked the chicken in a spicy sauce with cabbage and carrots and rice cakes. It's kind of cooked on the table in front of you. It's really good if you can add some cheese on top. That is a good one that usually when I have friends and family visit, they all like that.
And
Um, the other one is also a chicken dish, and it's kind of similar, but just different flavor profile and different preparation, and that's chindak. So that is basically chicken in a more soy saucy type sauce. Also with carrots and potatoes and glass noodles. And that's one that's also really good. Both of them, I think you can usually at restaurants choose how spicy you want it. So you could always get it less spicy if you cannot handle spicy food. So I feel like that's usually a good entry point into Korean food.
Yeah.
What about you? What do you usually take people to get?
Those are both very good choices. I mean, duck galbi would tend to be one of the first ones I would think of also. I think this one for me does depend a little bit on the season.
Mm.
And if it's cold, then one that I like to introduce people to because I really like it and I think it's not that common necessarily. For people to get introduced to when they are first introduced to Korean food, and that is gamjatang. So
Mm.
yeah, gamjatang is basically a pork and potato stew that again can be spicy, but isn't always that spicy. But it's just a very like hearty, filling, and yeah, very tasty meal, particularly when it's cold. Although it can be nice in the summer too. And the other one that I'll mention that actually is also good in the winter, but tends to be eaten more often in the summer actually, is samgyetang, which
Mm.
is a chicken stew or soup with clear broth, not spicy, but again, very hearty. And it's one of the foods that Koreans tend to eat on one of the hottest days of the year, traditionally. And yeah, it's just, again, it's very hearty, but it's also very healthy
Mm.
because it's just chicken with clear broth and it's got ginseng and rice. And yeah, it's very tasty. And I think most people will like that one.
Those are also good choices. I will say the reason why I tend not to bring people for those is if I have friends or family visiting who aren't great with chopsticks. It can be
True.
very difficult to eat those because they come on the bone.
That's
And
true.
that's hard enough a lot of times for people. But then
That's
adding
true.
chopsticks into the equation, I found that that can be really tricky for people. So, those also, I agree, taste wise, fantastic, great entry level Korean food. Practicality wise, a little more difficult.
Yeah, you might be right. Those also are normally going to be quite traditional Korean restaurants. So I think a lot of Korean restaurants these days will have forks pretty often for foreigners if they come in, but those restaurants might not because they do tend to be
Food.
a bit more traditional. So that's quite a good point. That's quite a good point.
Yeah. So maybe practice up on your chopstick skills before
Yes.
trying to eat one of those.
Yeah, yeah, that's good advice. Okay, well, this has been a really fun episode introducing some of our favorite Korean foods to you guys. So, if you did like the episode, don't forget to go ahead and give us a like and subscribe, and we will see you in the next episode. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks. Bye bye.
Bye bye.